Welcome to The Problem, a Lockwood and Co podcast. I'm Caitlin.
I'm Alan.
And this week we are talking about the 7th episode of the show Mesmerised, which was directed by Catherine Morshed and written by Ed Heim. Heim?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Heim and not like Hime or something.
We
like
were
that.
just talking about Princess Mononoke, so that is where my brain went.
Yeah. I think he's written 2 other episodes of this season, so.
Oh, so I've said his name before. Interesting. Yep. No memory of that.
I think it's the shortest episode. It's under 40 minutes. And I have more notes than any other episode so far.
A lot happens in this one. And
Man.
And we
so
get
much.
We get a lot, like there's a lot of the plot in this one I'm personally kind of meh about, but it gives us a lot of really good character stuff.
That's what my notes are.
Yeah.
It's all like emotion.
Yeah. So it's an interesting episode because a lot of the time when it's just the straight plot stuff, I'm actually kind of bored. But then we'll go to a really intense character scene and I'm like, no, wait, this is good. And we needed the plot to get to here. So
yeah.
I wouldn't say bored, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's like, it feels very mechanical.
Yeah.
It's not the thing.
But it's good. It's also super weird that it's the second last episode.
I know.
Like our next one's the last one.
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I remember when we started, you were like, oh, this is going to take us like well into July. That's weird. And now we're here and it doesn't feel like any time passed at all.
I know.
Weird. So the beginning of the episode, it starts with the camera on a ghost lamp again. Not exactly the same shot from episode 1, but very similar. And then we come down on George alone instead of in episode 1 where we came down on Lucy and Lockwood. And I liked that a lot. I don't know if it was purposeful on their part, but it felt like it to me and I liked it.
Yeah, I like that too. That really fits in too with like a lot of this episode is meditating on like being alone or being in the Lockwood and Co group.
You can say family, the Lockwood and Co family.
Yeah, that's right. That's the right word. I know words. I've heard of them.
I've heard of them.
George is very upset as he's like going down the street.
He is, and I love like it's the beginning of the episode. There's no reason yet for him to be this upset, at least that we know of. Possibly Lucy and Lockwood are late, but
yeah, we don't. Yeah, he's very agitated. We don't know. Like maybe him and Pamela had a big fight where she was like, "You're a child." I wish that had happened, but even though it would hurt George.
You know, that's an interesting thought because he calls her later, right? At the end of the episode. And I'm so curious about how she got into his head about that. Because obviously we see George in the previous episode tell her that they're going after the bone glass. So the rest of their like night alone together, that's weird to say, must have been about her like really subtly bringing him around on the idea of when he has the mirror, calling her and taking it to her so that they can experiment on it.
Mm-hmm.
But not like blatantly saying that.
It's a shame you have to take that to DPRAC. Because just think of all the things we could learn from it together.
But obviously it has to go to DPRAC, but if it didn't.
I could spend more time with you, you know. Great.
I'm so glad this is where we're starting. Anyways, then we're in a cab with Lucy and Lockwood. And I do like that they have a quick discussion here about how Penelope's going to know it was them, which is great because I don't remember that happening at all. And so I'm glad they acknowledge that, although I do think it will change things. Well, maybe not. Well,
yeah, we'll have to see.
Like in the books, I feel like they trust Penelope a little bit longer, and I don't see why they would after this.
Well, they have to see how she reacts because she could play it in a way where it like makes sense, and she could, you know, like if she just ignored it, then you wouldn't trust her.
Yeah,
but she could do it in a way where like you took my property. I'm proud of you for solving the case, but like this isn't the way. We could have collaborated. You should have talked to me.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's
like
true.
Draw them draw them in closer.
That's true.
I thought you were going to talk about how, and that's why I was giggling, is that Lockwood asked if they're being followed, which to me is like a reference to the book.
Yeah. Reference to Kip's
like
following them. Yeah.
Caper to that in the book, but it doesn't happen here.
I think in the show, though, they make Kip's and his team even more incompetent than they are in the book, because like they're just not involved at all in the investigation.
Yeah, they're like in the Fitz panic room or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this, because in the show they were at least in the books they realized that Lockwood was ahead of them in the investigation. It just started following them around everywhere and like station themselves outside Portland Row.
Yeah, so they had to like lose Fitz. There was a cab chase, and the cabbie is really funny because they're like, well, for that much money, I'll ram the car into him. I won't just drop you off at the corner. Like, let's have a real car chase. And Lockwood's like, calm down, dude. Like, just let us out.
If Lockwood is telling you to calm down, you've made some bad decisions in life. And last week I talked about how that was probably the quickest cold open into the opening credits, but this week beat it.
Oh yeah, this is super fast.
Yeah.
We're just boom right away. Because we only got 37 minutes. We got to go.
That is short.
It's really short. It feels like so much happens.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't even realize. Interesting. Although I like that they do that, because I feel like in streaming shows, there's so much, like a lot of the time the episodes end up being longer. And if it doesn't need to be longer, there's no reason to make it longer.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about streaming is you could have like really short episodes or long ones, whatever
it needs
to be. But you're right. They do tend to be a little bit flabby sometimes. But this is like super tight.
So then we're back to George, and Flo kind of pulls him.
Scares the crap out of him. That's what she does. She's like, it's unnecessary. She's like, someone could see you. And like, you could still be seen where you are, Flo. Like, you're not that hidden.
You're just, and then like Lockwood and Lucy end up standing where George was. So
they're right there.
Yeah. But I love, as they're running up, Flo says, look at the smile on him. This won't end well.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, Flo. I love Flo.
Yeah, I love to. She has this really good line where she says, London ain't just the streets,
Yep. You would think that the river would be more
busier.
Full. Yeah, because like have more longboats and like houseboat type things because of
especially
the protection. Yeah. And more of those like cafes that we saw in episode, whatever that was, 5, 6.
Yeah, I thought that too. It's got to be the most expensive thing you could do, though. To be like, we're going to have a lot of boats on the Thames. It would be like just the permits, I would think. It's like, you're really spending money there.
But if in that world, they would probably be set up for it.
Oh, no, I mean the show.
Oh, the show. Yes. Okay. Right.
For like all the, like insurance and
okay, that's
composing
a fair
the shot
point.
and all that stuff.
That's a good fair point. Yep. I was just in the world, apparently.
Yeah, I think there would be a lot more traffic, and there'd be a lot more like young people. Although it's really clever of Flo to live like this, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
Okay.
Or no, we go right to it. What am I talking about?
Flo
we go right on the boat.
Yeah, we go right on the boat. Flo has a plan to get them there on the river. And George is being real kind of tetchy about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she knows a back way into Winkman's. She's already scouted it to make sure it's safe.
I will say, George does ask to confirm that they got the book, and they do confirm that they got the book. And then it's like, doesn't come up again this episode. So I understand that they do read it in the next episode, but it does feel like a lot of shit happened in the previous episode for not much payoff.
Yeah. This is always the thing in like mysteries where I can always feel like the mechanics of the mystery in things like this, because you really need this thing to like do the mystery the right way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it doesn't feel necessary when they do it, but we have to have it in hand at that point. So like, that's okay.
Yeah. It's just funny.
Move over it as quickly as possible. And we find out that somebody has to stay with Flo.
Mm-hmm. The awkward moment when they all look at each other. And then Lucy's like, we could draw straws. And George is like, who are we kidding? Of course it's me.
Poor guy.
Oh.
I would expect him to put up more of a fight.
Because of the mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know we don't have time, but like, I don't know, felt off.
well, I guess there's sort of the two things happening here: his need for the mirror, and also his feeling like an outsider to Lockwood and Lucy, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess the insecurity won out. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers. I would rather die than be one again.
Oh, no way. Yeah, there's not enough money in the universe.
Yeah. They get in through a hatch in the building.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just this tiny little, I don't know.
And it seems like they're like right on the water or something. So maybe that's like a garbage
Or shipping.
shooter. Yeah, something like that.
It might have been like because everything in London has been repurposed from like an older,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you know, I
Yeah.
mean, not everything, obviously, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that might have been like for coal
Right, right.
or something. It was probably for coal. I feel like every weird entranceway in a building in England, that's where the coal was, you know?
Yep. I've grown up in places where like there's still here's where the coal was shoveled in and here's where the milkman left the bottles.
I am where I lived in Toronto when I was a kid. We had like a milkman pass through from
Yep.
the outside to the inside. It was all like boarded up, so you couldn't use it anymore. But the doorways were still there. It was really weird.
Oh, we would put stuff in the one at our grandparents' house all the time.
Oh yeah, we would keep stuff in, but like you couldn't pass through to the hallway because it was like a townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I
It still worked as a pass through.
Interesting.
We would do that constantly.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk about our childhoods.
Yeah. I do like that Flo like tells Lucy like she grabs her and she's like the Winkmans are a lot worse than ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and she knows that telling Lockwood that would mean nothing.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. And she's already warned them about this and it reminded me that like she has no idea that they were already captured and tortured and she doesn't know that all that happened.
Right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Because Ruby could be like, yeah, I know. I know all about it.
You know what? Okay, you just called her Ruby, which is fine, but like
I'm sorry.
It does suck. Like that Ruby and Lucy.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Terrible.
That happens all the time in my mind.
And then there's a character named Nori, and I tweeted about this. And then there's also Antony, and there's like another character in the later books called Holly. And I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah, why names? Stop it.
I mix up Lucy and Holly, just the names, obviously, not the characters, every single time.
Yeah. I'm always on the edge of doing it. And it really doesn't help that Flo is in here all Georgie and Lockie.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. Stop.
Yes, exactly. Although I like Georgie. He seems like a Georgie, you know? I mean that as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Once they get into like the little storeroom that they end up in, they put on their rapiers. And I figured this is why they decided to not have them wear rapiers at the party, right? So that they could be making a change here.
Mm-hmm. We can like buckle up in a cool little sequence.
Because they decided to keep them in their fancy clothes, which I'm pretty sure in the books they did change into not fancy clothes.
Yeah, they have like a whole kit that there's more, it feels like there's more of a plan that's coherent than what's going on in the show.
In the books, they are shown to be competent and have a plan. In this one, they're like, we don't know what's happening, but somehow we've got a bag full of sources we're going to throw at them.
Yeah, it's just a improv all the way down. It's real bad.
I do really wish, I had this complaint last episode too, that sometimes they were shown to be competent.
Mm-hmm.
As like a group, as a planning thing, or like they can get away with things. It's not going to ruin the tension.
Yeah. I think what goes on here though, it's like what you said, that
the plot serving the character development.
Yeah. That we need to like car crash Lockwood emotionally to get to the moments.
No, it's true. It's true. That is, like I actually don't enjoy the addition of this undercover deep rack agent, but they do need it for where they wanted Lockwood to go in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, whatever. I agree. Yeah, it's interesting to do this. It makes a lot of sense that this is what deep rack does. That they don't just send children
Yeah.
into like,
Yes.
these crazy situations, that they actually do have like adult officers who do investigations and are like trying to dismantle criminal organizations and stuff like that. That makes a lot more sense than anything that we get out of the books. But it also like there's one of two things happening here, that either Barnes is a real piece of shit to throw these kids into this situation where this undercover officer is, because like that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't know about it and there's like bad communication around, like he's on this case, Barnes is on the mirror case, and they know about Winkman having it and he just doesn't know. Like that's not good either.
Did Lockwood and or Lucy tell Barnes about the Winkman involvement, or did they just tell him about Carver? I don't remember the conversation.
Even if they didn't, this guy would know that they have the mirror, which means that Deeprak should know that
he might not have had a chance to contact Deeprak. Like I assume undercover people have a handler, yeah.
meet. Yeah.
So he might not have had a chance to tell them. And I genuinely don't remember if we know from like the conversation from the beginning of last week's episode, if they told Barnes about the Winkmans.
I don't think they told him anything that they absolutely didn't have to.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because otherwise Deeprak would know where the mirror was.
Yeah, they just knocked the door down. Why would they wouldn't bother to send them in. So maybe scrap all that. But because I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck, Barnes? Like, you're really messing up this investigation over here by letting Lockwood loose in the middle of this whole thing. But maybe he just doesn't know about it on multiple levels.
And I don't think Barnes would know about undercover agents. That seems like a different department than his liaisoning with agents.
Yeah. But this undercover guy is, I don't know if you caught this, but he's a Vulcan from Star Trek.
I did not catch that at all.
Because he pinches the shit out of Lockwood. And like,
I thought you were saying he was like in the show, in one of the Star Trek shows.
No. I was like, what is he doing to Lockie? He
grabs onto his collarbone and digs in. I hate.
He's given him what I think of as the dad grab.
Yes.
That you would, to a small boy who thinks he's a man, and being like, son, shut the fuck up. Like, get out of here. You're about to ruin everything.
But like, what was his goal?
Yeah, I think he would have let the mirror go tonight. He didn't care about that. It seemed like
it didn't seem like that. But what I feel like he's got enough, and like, why wouldn't he have told Deeprak? Yeah, there's this illegal auction happening. Come and raid it. What?
Yeah.
What was he looking for?
The even bigger score. Yeah, I can't imagine. He's literally here, like you said, because we need this to happen.
Yeah, we need him to die.
Yeah.
Which
does make sense. Like, it's plausible enough that people like this exist. And you just can't look at it too carefully about motivations and stuff.
I do like, just before the people come in with the undercover dude, Lockwood and Lucy hide, and they give a little shout out to the books there where Lucy realizes her rapier is sticking out and she has to pull it in. So from when they were hiding in the library in the books. So that's nice. But I don't know. I just like little things like that.
I didn't even make that connection. That's exactly right.
The undercover agent tries to give them a way out, but he doesn't know Lockwood.
He doesn't know who he's talking to. This is really good writing, though, I think, because it's not just that, we're in the belly of the beast, so there's no way out but through. Like, to put a choice in front of Lockwood and be like, you could leave now. Like, you didn't understand what you were coming into. You don't really have a plan. And there is someone else here who is taking care of the problem. Like, you could go. And now there's a choice. And so, like, for Lockwood to double down and be like, this is what's happening, is a whole other thing, I think.
Yeah. Especially since if they left and contacted Deeprak and said, this is where the mirror is, there's an auction happening right now, blah, 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 that's still them winning. Like, Kip has no fucking idea what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Barnes would trust them. This would like fix a lot of things for him.
Yeah. This is definitely just only bad decisions, no therapy.
Yeah. This was in my notes. I was like, oh, death drive, baby. Like we're get behind the wheel. Like,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
And of course, Lucy can't just leave him to die. I think I would. I would just be like, see ya, bud.
Like,
have fun.
I gotta go.
I'm gonna live.
I choose life. No, she can't.
Yeah.
She can't do that. And I think that like touches directly back on her trauma of
yes, of course.
She turned back to go get the adults and be like, there's something bad in there, and then they all died. Like she can't turn her back on him.
Yeah, exactly. But they do argue about it first.
Mm-hmm. This is all really good, though.
Yes.
I like.
This scene is great and really wouldn't have happened without the undercover guy we were just complaining about. So
yeah,
more to our point.
Yeah, and Lockwood tells her, "Go. I have to stay." What a ridiculous! I have to stay. I have no choice.
What would he have done by himself?
Died.
Yeah. I guess.
It does, like, as they duck back into the storage room, there is the important little plot point of he sees that everybody has like a costume with robes and balaclavas that they have to wear and stuff.
Yes, very lucky.
Yeah, right. Because otherwise they had no plan for getting into the auction. I think in the book they do know about, like, there's a certain outfit and they have the outfit.
I feel like in the book they just hide. Like they have, like, we're gonna go rob a convenience store outfits on, and they like hide in. They're not as in the room as they are in the show, and then eventually they just start throwing in flares and sources and stuff.
Yeah.
And just cause chaos.
I must have conflated the show with the book when I reread it, because they was talking about their masks and stuff. And
I'm not 100%, but I think it was like that. There is also like a very similar scene in book 4 where they go to a relic thing like this, and I always smoosh the two scenes in my head.
Yeah, there's a better plan than what happens here in the book. And to underline that, the radio doesn't work here when they try to call George.
Yes.
Which I guess the building is just a giant brick building with...
Well, we find out later that Float's kind of moved away from them, probably far enough that the radios wouldn't.
That's true.
Right.
I was also thinking, though, that probably the whole building, because of what Winkman's
covered in like
operation
iron.
is. Yes. And so it's a giant Faraday cage and they can't get a signal.
That would make some sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because they don't get a signal till they're on the roof outside.
On the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, Lucy has some good shit to yell at Lockwood here about how just hours ago he was terrified at the thought of her leaving.
Yeah.
And how he made her believe that they could be a family, the three of them. And now he's just like, or we could all die. That's a good time too.
She says this line that took me all the way back to episode 1, where when it comes to the family thing, because she was like, but at the heart of this family is you, and at the heart of you. And then Lockwood is like, what? I have a cold, dead heart of stone. And that was what she like accused her mother of, that like, you don't have feelings. And so like for Lucy, this is like, to call him family and to call George family, like this is really, really big. Mm-hmm. This is really touching the core of her trauma. And it's the core of Lockwood's trauma also, his family, obviously.
Yeah. Man, I just love Lucy. She's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But to the cold dead heart stone thing, she does say, well, I don't know. Like, you don't show anyone. Maybe it is that, but who the fuck even knows? She doesn't say fuck.
One fuck per series.
Yeah, I guess. It's like the TV version of PG-13. You get one.
Lockwood says there's nothing good comes from letting people in. Everything ends and everyone leaves. So that's mature.
Mm-hmm. No therapy, only bad decisions.
Right. This is like textbook, like Freudian mourning principles. Like when you're in grief, you can't like actually give responsibility to the person that you're grieving over. You like Lockwood can't bear to hate his parents or his family for abandoning him, which is like the real thing that's happening, because that would be too painful, right? And so instead, all of that anger and like hurt turns back on himself.
Mm.
And then you want to hurt yourself because you can't bear to hurt the beloved person that you have grief over. And so this is like textbook, just talk to a therapist stuff.
But then he says, no one's gonna miss him or stay up wishing that he would walk through that door one more time. Lucy's like, well, why the fuck did you let us in then? Because it's too late now.
Yeah, this is kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's also like clear that Lockwood is trying to protect people from experiencing his own trauma.
Yeah.
He thinks if I can be unlovable and too cool to form relationships, then no one will mourn me when I die the way that I'm sad all the time because I'll never see my family again.
But also he can't help but be like, but I do want people.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Life's hard. And then they realize that they can't really be having this very deep, important conversation right now because of the imminent death.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. But then we switch to the boat, I think.
Yep, we go back to the boat, which luckily has found a bunch of fog.
I miss fog.
Much cheaper than being in the city on location.
Yeah.
I don't mind this, though. This makes a lot of sense. London's also famous for this, so.
But it also, like, just puts them in their own little world, like, alone.
Yeah.
I think it makes the scenes better.
It does.
It's one of those things.
I'm just making fun.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where the need for the budget cut led to something really good. Not the budget cut, you know what I'm saying? The need to keep the budget led to something good. It's a really pretty scene. For
sure. And it also like helps George to feel more out of sorts.
Yeah.
Like he's more dislocated. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what's going on, which is literally what's happening inside of him.
Yeah. And he doesn't know like how far away from the mirror he is, or if they're going to be able to get the mirror, or yeah.
So I will say that the first time that I watched this, these scenes made me not trust Flo because I was so attached to George and I didn't really understand what was trying to be communicated here. So maybe for dumb people like me or like people who haven't read the book, it will be like, I just felt like Flo was goofing off or not taking this whole thing seriously. The other time that we see her, she puts Lockwood and Lucy in danger with the Cold Maiden.
Right.
And she's like, I've got this other gig. Why don't we go do that? And I was like, oh, I don't trust Flo. I don't like her. Why is she going to abandon them to like go make money? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not clear to me like right away what's really happening, if is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
That she's testing George.
Yeah, she feels she can sense off of him, not in any psychic way, but like just from experience that like something is wrong.
Yeah. If he had said yes, do we think she would have gone to do this quote unquote other job that may or may not exist?
No, I don't think so. Oh. She would have been like, maybe later, you know, like, yeah.
There is a part of me that thinks maybe she would have, but I think mostly she wants Lockwood to live, so probably not.
She might have gone to the island,
right?
But not to the other, not to the other job, quote unquote other job, if that exists.
Well, can you imagine you send somebody in to the Winkmans and then you're looking around and you're like, well, I was double booked.
Yeah, well, that's how it read to me the first time. I was like, what? Like,
yeah.
What am I supposed to make of this? And so it was confusing. And I just didn't know, because, you know, like I had only read the first 2 books and you meet Flo, but like I had no sense that she continues in the books or like maybe she becomes an enemy or.
Right.
And so I was like, what's going on?
Because this is like the first book where we meet Flo.
Yeah.
So you don't have the further context. I do like the bit here where George is kind of set off by the bird noises. And then Flo is just like, the world is bigger than the problem. Like,
right.
It's not ghosts.
And she keeps reminding them of that, like how she told Lucy about the Winkmans.
Yes.
And like, it's not just ghosts you have to worry about.
But then I think we head back to the warehouse.
Yep. The auction happens here. They get dressed up in cosplay.
Yes. Everyone's favorite pastime.
Yep.
And I do love when they're like rushing down the hallway. And I think Lockwood says, hold it together. And then Lucy says, you hold it together.
I wrote that down too.
It's so good.
She is done.
Yeah.
She is fed up with him.
But because of the imminent death, they can't really have it all out. So they're going in angry at each other, which I'm sure is just the best way to have all this to have all this go smoothly.
Yeah. This is what you want when you're about to do a raid in enemy territory.
Mm-hmm. Be angry and untrusting of each other.
Yeah. Make sure your partner is pissed off at you. Yep.
But they get in and the mirror is brought out. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I love how it looks. This is our first really good look at the bone glass. And there's a moment in the book is the same when they bring it out and they remark in the book, the narrator, or I guess that would be Lucy, because it's first person. She says how it's like smaller than she thought it was. And it was like, it's translucent around the frame and all of this stuff. So they like recreated it perfectly. I feel like.
Yeah, it looks really cool. You
can see all the bones from the people who got cut up and then put into it. It's very creepy.
In general, the props department on the show, A+.
Top notch, yeah.
And then they unveil the mirror, but they've got this like weird thing on it that keeps the mirror part covered. So that's fun, I guess.
Who was the guy that they were like, you're gonna put this cover on the thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's your job.
Oh man, it was probably Leopold. Oh, that poor kid. That poor kid in the show. He's a little fucking snot in the books.
In the book, yeah. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of kids here in the IMDb page, or like at the end credits. They're all credited as canaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
Winkman even says, send your canaries forward.
Send the canaries.
Oh, yeah. God. I wrote down the kids there. Oof. That was my note on that.
I wonder if you brought a kid, maybe you didn't have to pay a cover charge. That was like the deal. Yeah, bring one psychic kid, get in free.
I know you're making a joke, but they do talk about why the kids are there, and because the adults are. I almost called them parents. Jesus, the adults are.
Let's hope not. Let's hope these kids are all kidnapped. No, that's not good either. Shit.
They just found some orphans on the street.
Great.
Yep.
Even better.
Ghost orphans, probably. But they are there because obviously the adults can't guarantee that the relics that they're bidding on are actual psychical things. So they all bring sensitive children to confirm or deny.
And the sound department kicks in when they take the silver net off.
Yeah, the
and
buzzing.
It's the flies all over again.
Yeah. Ugh, don't like.
The kids get closer and it gets worse and worse and worse. So it's all very creepy.
And then I think we're back with George and Flo for a moment.
Well, we do get a moment where Lockwood hands a potential distraction to Lucy of, salt bombs, I'm guessing. I don't think these are magnesium flares.
Some sort of blowy uppy thing, but not we're all going to die blowy uppy thing.
Right. It's a big change from the book where they do shoot flares, but they shoot them from the boat at the building and it like blows out the windows. That's the plan.
Yeah.
So that everybody looks behind them and then they're able to like rush the stage. It's like a really good plan. Unlike this, where Lockwood's like, here, good luck. And Lucy's like, what? And then he walks away. So
I do miss competent Team Lockwood, you know? Like,
yeah, if he had his head on straight, I feel like he would come up with a plan, but he's determined to get killed by these people. I don't know what it is. But yeah, we go back to the boat.
Yeah.
Where we're going to have a drink.
I think we need it at this point. It's just more of Flo kind of testing George, I guess. Talking about her life a little bit. And we
find out the boat's name is Matilda.
Oh, yes, Matilda. She has, I don't know, like a ribbon or something that she got off the neck of a drowned Dalmatian.
I know.
So that's fun for Flo. Who wore it best? Why, Flo? Why?
I feel like this is a consequence of like being alone all the time. That she's a little nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not all tests and stuff. She is a little unhinged. And I think it also speaks to like exactly what Lockwood was talking about earlier, where he's like, you know, I shouldn't be an emotional burden to anybody when I die. That's the life that Flo is living. Like if she just died, no one would know. And like, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't have anyone. And so she does have the life that Locke was talking about, but she's lonely and trying to make a connection with George, I feel like. Like this is fun for her. She has company.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it. Oh well. That changes for her after this.
Yeah. But she's a little manic too. Like I don't want it to be like George is disturbed because of the mirror and Flo is like healthy and making good decisions, and like they're both pretty messed up.
Oh no, actually. Flo even says like, you don't know what happened to me and I'm not going to talk about it. Only bad decisions, no therapy.
Right. Yeah. Why would I talk about my feelings with anybody? That would be crazy.
Like, I meant like all of them have some real bad shit. I think George is the one with the least amount of shit. You know, like, and he's just unfortunately like
mesmerized by the mirror. So
yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to compare their different reactions to all their traumas.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because Flo's a little bit older. And I feel like she did make a choice to survive and build this life and everything, but it does have like real drawbacks that she's feeling by hanging out with George. But it like all of this stuff did like, again, the first time that I was watching it, like George is very anxious and upset, but I felt like he was justified in being so upset because she's like being weird. She's like, I have a dead dog collar on my head and, you know, like, let's go look at the birds. And he's like, my friends are in trouble. Like, so we need to go back.
I would agree with you here, except he does not say his friends. He says, we're staying here for the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only on rewatching it a few times where I was like, okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
But the first time emotionally, I was just like, yes, George is right. Like, go back.
Flo also says a lot of things about herons here. And I just want to say that herons are not that impressive. So I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand why you would want.
We're anti-heron here.
She's just like really into them. And I'm like, they're just a bird.
I figured this is something from the books. This is another thing where I don't think so. Like,
herons are completely showism. I'm 98% certain. If you hadn't,
I thought she just had a fascination with them in another book and they were bringing that forward. I was like,
no.
Oh, okay.
I said that so confidently that I immediately have doubt, but I'm pretty sure there's not a mention of herons in the book.
Huh. She does love them in the show.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. They're not that great. They've got like weird long legs.
I don't know anything about the ecosystem in London, if there are lots of herons or if they're maybe endangered, or I don't know.
I see herons all the time here, so. Anyways, we're back to the auction. Herons don't matter. like real life herons. Obviously, the conversations, you know what I'm saying. Anyways.
The auction, the bidding is going up and up and up. And then it makes a big jump to 500,000 pounds.
And the voice that says it is pretentious. I hate that man.
You can tell it's a well-heeled client with lots of money just by the way he says it.
Oh, maybe it was money provided by richest woman in London?
Who would have that kind of money
I don't know.
to spend on sources that they would then display in their pillars? No one that I know.
And then Lockwood gets in on the bid because that's smart.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you sneak, is by holding up a sign. I like that the lighter that I said 2 episodes was useless comes back and unlikely.
That it's come up twice now.
Twice.
Yeah.
It was important to establish it, actually, and that it continues to come back. So you could tell that I watched the show very carefully.
Mm-hmm. And then Lockwood and Golden Blade Dude, we don't know it's him yet though, are asked to approach to provide proof of means since they've jacked the price up so high.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what happens, but what's his face, Golden Blade Man, goes up. I keep trying hard not to say who I'm pretty sure he is in the books, so that's why I'm weird about it. He like pulls out, I don't know, a checkbook.
That's what it looked like to me.
And just shows them some paper, and I'm like, what does that mean?
I'm sure on there it was like the bank account of Penelope Fitz or something. They were like, oh yeah, okay.
A note from Penelope that just said, I endorse this man and will give him money.
Full
like a
rights
permission
and credit.
slip.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, checks out.
Yeah.
And then they want from Lockwood, and he's like, here's my number thingy. And oh God, where did I leave my wallet? Is it in my sword? Is it in where is it?
But very quickly they see that he has a rapier. So they're like, ah, shit, it's you again. Where's your little friend?
He's looking over his shoulder like, I gave you the bomb, didn't I? Like, what's going on? What's the holdup? Everybody around her, too, is like very not aware of her flicking the lighter over and over and over and over.
You know, I'm okay with that because if some dude was about to be murdered by people up at the front, I'd be paying attention to that, too. Yeah.
Well, I just mean she's doing that before while he's like patting down, like, is it in my back pocket? My front? Who could say? So she just can't, this is like the classic can't get the car started while the killer is coming to get you stuff.
But she does eventually get it.
Yeah. She makes another killer throw. Lucy's like deadly with the throws, I feel. So she like throws it up and it breaks apart so that it falls in the crowd and on the stage. Just maximum, chaos. It's exactly what needed to happen. So it's beautiful.
It's great. And then Lockwood, he gets the mirror and uncovers a bunch of the sources on the stage and then gives Winkman the best devil may care grin.
Yeah. Good luck, loser.
And then runs. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that some bad things happen after this because he would have been insufferable if they'd gotten away.
Oh, yeah, with no problem. He'd have been like, see, it all worked out. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking of this now, but Winkman should have immediately been like, get the canaries back up here so we know where we can walk and not walk.
Yeah. It's a little bit more of the sometimes adults can see ghosts that the show does, but whatever.
Yeah, they do that in the book too, because the same kind of thing happens where they throw the sources open and then bolt, and the adults all freak out as the ghosts like unfold. They're like, oh no, it's a ghost. And I was like, but you can't see that, can you? But it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But they go into a blue colored hallway and ditch their dress up clothes or their cosplay for their dress up clothes. Yes,
they are back in their fancy clothes.
And they come to a dead end because the door's been barred.
I actually just read my note and I said, love how quickly they ditch their cloaks so they can look good on screen again.
Right. Yeah. We're not paying for these people, these beautiful kids to have their faces all covered up. Come on.
Even though it would have probably helped them blend in and...
Yeah, it would have been smarter to keep it on, honestly.
And like the dark cloaks probably stood out less than Lucy's bright blue dress.
Right. Did you see my diamond necklace?
Yeah.
Isn't it nice?
But then Lockwood causes this dude to die.
Oh man, this poor guy. I gotta say too, like, I work in a manual labor job with, like, there's lots of like chains and pipe and stuff, and like I do like, heavy lifting all the time. I don't know anyone who could like take a machete or anything to an iron chain and just cut that fucker off. Like that, he is a real man, is what I'm saying. Like whatever they're teaching at DPRAC about like strength training is like, that guy's impressive. Good for him.
Right. That's what it is. And not just convenient.
It's not the plot that let him cut through that. I love how Lockwood like gives the whole game away through looks. Like all of that is like really, really good actually. And Winkman like trigs to it and is like, you want to tell me something? These kids? What's up? Are you his dad? The way he's looking at you? What's happening? Because you kind of are his dad, symbolically. I just want to let you know that.
It is good. I like any time that they juxtapose Lockwood's, I'm an adult with, oh shit, I'm a kid and I'm in over my head.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like Coom Carey, where he's like, go ahead and shoot me. You don't have it in you. And it's like, dude, he has it in him.
Yeah.
Like, you're wrong.
And then they get through the door that was locked, and Lucy is like, we need to go into the elevator, and not paying attention. But Lockwood does just sort of stare as they kill the guy. And that is going to be great for him, I think, in the future. I think that's going to help him a lot.
Yeah.
But then Lucy does throw a source behind them as they get onto the elevator.
Yeah, this is a good use of those sources. I mean, it's a shame to put them back in the hands of Winkman, but at the same time, it's like really smart.
Yeah. But also, like, presumably that means Lucy is also just murdering people.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too, except that she doesn't seem to think about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not too hard to neutralize it if they brought some nets or something, but like.
But from the screams, we can assume that some people were ghost
Oh yeah,
judged.
some people definitely died.
Yeah.
Winkman's like, you guys go first.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I pay you for. Source traps are really good. But like Lockwood is like panic breathing.
Yeah.
In the elevator, and like his eyes are bugging out. And
of course, like even if he hadn't been involved in the dude being discovered, he just watched a man get murdered. Mm-hmm. Like, of course he's losing his mind.
Yeah. This leads to like the famous to me scene of Lucy grabbing Lockwood's face, like the way they're grabbing each other and like their forehead to forehead.
Yeah.
And she's like, I really need you to be a dickhead again. Like, you just pull it together, dude. Like, we have to get out of here. It's
great because I love a romantic forehead touch, but this is not romantic at all. This is
no.
Please be a dickhead again. Get us through this.
Please put your scab back over your wound, because this is not the time.
We can freak out later.
Yeah. I like that because it's like your coping mechanism can be like your greatest advantage in a lot of ways for the way that you live your life and like live through your trauma, but it's always your biggest weakness because anytime that crutch breaks, you are on the ground. Like, you can't handle life whenever that trauma response fails you.
Yeah.
And so like he cannot be the cool, awesome, sword fighting ghost hunter guy because he just watched his dad get chopped up again, or like whatever. Like he directly like his trauma just like went off inside of him.
But he does get it together after this, and I assume that's because he realizes, well, I guess I don't want to watch Lucy die also, so dickhead it is.
Yeah, these relationships pull him back, that there's like evolution, there's another way out, and things like that.
And then we're back to the boat, and George gets a classic fortune cookie that they absolutely did not just write for the show.
I forgot to mention when he grabs the fortune cookie off the plate in the last episode, This is Chekhov's fortune cookie.
Yeah, I'd genuinely forgotten that he opened the fortune cookie later.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was great.
And it's we become what we do. Like, things are not fated. That's the message here. So, like, your choices define who you are. You're not just like an inscribed person, which is like a good thing to tell someone who's like hypnotized by death itself, maybe. Someone who's being magnetized to the other side. In a certain sense.
It's really great because he makes the choice at the end of the show. So I guess he chose.
I know. It's like you are what you are. Your bad choices, really.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to tell you.
It doesn't work out for him. This is when Flo kind of decides that the kid gloves are off, and she's just like, "You are mesmerized, Georgie. You got some shit going on."
I mean, this is the same scene that we just had with Lucy and Lockwood, where they're not grabbing each other's heads.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wrote down here, can you trust someone who's traumatized? Like, yeah, Alan, let your guard down a little bit. But they're like, I guess this goes back to like how I didn't trust Flo like all the way up until this point, the first time that I'm watching it. And then she starts laying down some truth. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I don't trust anything that she's saying though, even though I know she's right. And it must be, I guess, how George is feeling. And he just like explodes, but then realizes, because like you said, he's the most healthy, that, oh shit, I was wrong. Like, this is bad. What have I done?
Pulling a rapier on a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty, I can see where that would kind of wake a person up for a minute.
It's kind of beautiful. Like the way that he had all this antagonism towards her. And then once he comes to his senses, he's willing to lean on her judgment in a real way.
Yeah.
And I feel like their connection like really deepens here.
Yeah, definitely. And Flo also kind of decides to believe in George.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
It's nice.
I like that we get these good moments between these like two couples basically, but they're so different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just good writing because you really see how different people they are. And I feel like when you're writing a bunch of characters like that, it can be easy to just have them all sound exactly the same.
Samey, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. And the way that the trauma is working for everybody is like very, very different and stuff too. So I think the dynamic is exactly kind of like what you said. George is a little bit more healthy and comes to his senses and
for a short time anyways. When he has support, which is kind of the human condition, you know?
Well, luckily he has Lockwood, who's like very dependable. And always there for him.
And very always coming from a good place.
Right.
And Lucy is also very healthy and won't just say anything to not be abandoned again.
And it always lets him in
on
what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's
good
in
communicators.
A good place. Anyway, so back at the warehouse. The dude,
pirate is back.
Well, first of all, he says something to them. I did not write down what, but he's still in his like cloak outfit, which was smarter of him. And
oh yeah, he's like, this is the second party you've busted up tonight.
And then one of them was like, you were at the ball, and I'm like, how could you not hear the pretentiousness, the voice is, how does it not just boil your blood every time this man speaks? I want to punch him. God, I hope that's acting.
Oh, not like the real way that he talks.
I'm sure he's a perfectly nice dude. I have no idea who this is, but the way that he says every single word, it's just like dripping with "I'm cool" and "you're not."
He has a very like upper class accent,
but it sounds fake. Like it sounds like he really wants to be upper class,
right?
Like not that the actor's doing a bad job, but like that he's doing that on purpose.
Yeah. I agree. It feels his whole thing is very like, it's pretentious.
Yeah.
Like, and it's he's doing a persona for sure. I can't believe, so like, and we talked about this a lot, the past couple episodes, how like I've only read the first two books. And so when I'm watching the show, I notice the differences, of course, from the book, but then there's also things where I'm like, oh, this feels like they're bringing later book stuff forward. And so this guy, I was like, okay, I don't remember this guy at all. And then he's like, Lucy's like, you're the Golden Blade or whatever. And he's like, I like that. I'm the Golden Blade. And I was like, okay, so the Golden Blade has to be like book 4, book 5 kind of a guy that they're introducing now to make it more organic. But then when I told you that, you were like, no.
The words Golden Blade are a showism.
Okay.
There is like a man who they clash with a bunch.
Is he pretentious? And
yes. And
does he wear eyeliner?
And he does. Well, I don't know about the eyeliner. He does end up being like a good foil for Lockwood. So it is kind of that. They have just made him, given this guy a bigger role. I have to assume, because like there's nobody else this guy could be. And there's a really great bit in book 3 where Lockwood and him sort of end up working together for a bit. And then they get to the end of it and they both look at each other like, so do we fight now? Like,
oh, that's fun. I love
great.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Like it's not for very long, but I really want that on screen.
Yeah. He is like really, when Lucy was like, be a dickhead again, that's this guy. Like that's his whole thing, is like Lockwood's persona that he hides in so he doesn't have to feel things. And so it is really like him fighting against himself in a sense.
Yeah, they've done a good job with this, and I love that we get a good rapier fight.
This is a super cool fight.
Yeah, we've had the rapiers for so long, and we have not had a good rapier fight. So I'm really, really glad that we get this.
Yeah, it's very cool because he starts out dual wielding because he has Lockwood's sword plus his sword.
Yeah.
Because he disarmed him at the stage. Lockwood has nothing, of course, but at first he goes up against Lucy, who I feel like she does okay.
Yeah, she does good.
This is a grown-ass man with 2 swords.
Yeah.
And she's like already off balance, and she does pretty well. And it's a brutal, cool fight. Like he kicks her into the wall. Like it's very exciting.
I like that bit also because it's a believable, like, why she would be down for a bit. Like getting the air knocked out of you does take a minute to.
Are you kidding me? I would be dead. Like I'd be like, that's it. Good luck, Lockwood.
Yeah. And then even when she does start to like get it back together again, she tosses her sword over to Lockwood because she knows Lockwood is better.
Yeah.
And I think that is very smart. Oh, but when he's fighting with Lucy, that's when he really turns up the condescension and is like, oh, you're okay at this actually, but not ready for the big leagues or whatever the fuck he says. I don't remember. And I'm just like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. But then when he's talking to Lockwood, he does mention that he'd already told Winkman about the double agent. So Lockwood has a bit of a reprieve from hating himself for the rest of forever about this one dude, because he would have died anyways.
Yeah, he says that he would have died on stage. It's also interesting because we know that he has some relationship with Fitz. Mm-hmm. Why can I not remember her name?
Penelope.
Penelope. I keep wanting to call her Pamela, but that's a different mastermind enemy.
I also keep wanting to call her something else, but that's a spoiler.
Right. So he's associated with basically like the establishment in my mind, and like the people who are supposed to be containing all the sources. But then he has a close enough relationship with the black market people to be like, hey, you got a mole in your organization at the same time. So like there's a whole other side of things than like establishment and criminals.
Well, it's like what we were talking about when Winkman was first sort of introduced, and that he's a criminal, but he's selling these high-end, like selling them very expensively back to the high society people.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just a big circle. So of course Fitz is involved.
Yep.
Even if you wanted to make an argument for Penelope herself not being involved, like of course higher ups in the agency
people
are.
like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, we hear a lot about the Rotwell agency, but in this season of the show, we don't see anybody, like, we don't see the upper crust people from the second best agency.
Yeah, there's just, I guess, I mean, there's just like a whole nother world of like adults who are into all of this stuff, and they're playing both sides of the, the
of course
whole
they are. That's how
thing.
they get the most money.
That's right. That's how you do it. Don't worry about right and wrong. Just do them both.
Yeah.
I love his like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the iron in your blade. I'm the fire in the furnace. And I was like, is he doing the Darkwing Duck thing? What is happening right now?
But then Lockwood's just like, shut up.
Shut up. It's really good. It's like, please stop.
And then calls him a pretentious prick, which like I can absolutely see other people calling Lockwood a pretentious prick. So I love that.
Yeah. I love that in the fight is very, very fast. And it's the first round of it between him and Lockwood, but he manages to like take the dual wielding away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lockwood is dual wielding. And I was like, whoa, very cool.
It's a great fight. I love it. But then Lockwood gets his sword. Like, I guess it's not great quality in comparison with the golden blade.
Right. So let's talk about Freudian castration, Caitlin. And
that is just not where I feel like I need everybody to know that in our like shared notes document, the only thing that Alan wrote down was trauma.
That's right.
I mean, I wrote down nothing, so it doesn't matter. But and then at the end, Lucy says, "Fuck you" to Technique. Love it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying to like hit this guy 2 times with a 2x4. Yeah. Oh my God. It's clutch.
It's great.
And it also underlines like it is actually thematic because it comes back to this whole thing of like, I'm by myself and I'm tortured and alone and no one can love me. And it's like he gets out of this because they're a team.
Yep.
So it really does come back to all of that.
And like they get the mirror away because they're a team.
Right.
Too. Like he has to toss it.
That's how they win.
He has to toss it to Lucy and Lucy has to toss it to George.
Exactly.
But I've gotten ahead of ourselves. They make it up to the roof and Lockwood is like, we can climb down the drain pipe, which is another kind of shout out to the books.
You're right.
I love this bit because like in the book, somebody dies up here on the roof or they like fall off. And Lockwood is just like, he's just kind of meh about it.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And I love that they changed that to be like, oh no, death fucks this guy up.
Yeah. He can't handle it. He's way more fragile. I don't think that Stroud had an Uber plan the way that they have the advantage of like the whole manga, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they can
the whole manga.
Where they could go back
Full Metal
and like
Alchemist
build it right.
versus Brotherhood.
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
We talk about anime way too much for our podcast.
I know,
It's not about anime. I don't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so I think Jonathan Stroud had like the plot over arc in his head because there is some stuff. Well, yeah, like
he does sprinkle it. You're totally right.
Yeah.
He sprinkles in all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
But the character arc that he wanted, I do think he was a little bit like, well,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had the world more fleshed out than the character.
Yes.
Like. But we find out that George and Flo are here.
Yep, they got there just in time. They finally make contact on the radios, and then Golden Blade Man gets up from his concussion real quick. TV time.
Right. Yeah, he's fine. Don't worry, everyone. He's completely okay.
If somebody hit me, like, just that first hit in the arm with the wood beam, I'd be like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. I'll just go to the 100%. Hospital for a week.
Yeah. That was a big 2x4. She like really gave it to him.
Yeah.
I thought that too. I didn't say that, but like when she stands over him, like the way that she had her legs and her shoulders, I was like, that was a really good swing. Like that's good form. She just really gave it to him.
I do also love that when they're talking to George, Lockwood is like, we're going to have to throw the mirror down to you. Because there's no way for them to get down to him, but they go the same way as the mirror, like 30 seconds after it.
Right.
So they should have all just gone together.
There was no net to catch them, though.
Yeah, I guess. Golden Blade is up, and now the fight is not pretty or have good technique or anything. They're just pounding into each other, scrambling around on the roof.
Fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do also like that juxtaposition of, fuck looking cool. Let's just hurt each other.
Yeah, because the guy, I think he thought this was like a lock, like it was going to be no problem to murder 2 kids.
A Lockwood. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
That was so
it's
bad.
A Freudian slip.
I hate myself.
But now he got whipped by these kids. So now he has to be like, okay, now it's for real. Now I'm going to like
Yeah.
I'm coming after you for real.
And Lucy gets to throw like a girl again and get the mirror perfectly in the net that she didn't even know was there.
Holy shit, this blind throw is amazing. It's incredible.
It's
like when she threw the net over Bickerstaff in the other episode, like put this girl on the pitch. Like she is amazing. Like she should be playing professional sports.
Baseball's not really a thing in England. I guess she could play cricket. I don't know if they need to.
That's why I said the pitch.
Oh,
That's
the pitch. Oh, you meant cricket. Nice. I actually know nothing about cricket. I don't know why I decided to make a cricket joke. Yeah.
I think it's an underhanded, you roll it on the ground thing. I don't know how to play it at all.
Let's not even talk about it. We'll just embarrass ourselves.
I wouldn't want to do that. So she throws it into this net. I did wonder about, so I know even less about fishing than I do about sports, but I was like, why does the net float? Like, when would you ever need a floating net? But it does. So luckily that works out.
I have no answers about nets.
Usually you throw out a net and it sinks because that's what you want to use the net for, is the stuff
to catch
on the bottom.
The fishies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, I'm not complaining about it. Like, maybe she has a special net for this reason or this kind of thing, but they get it.
It might have been like just a net that she was using to store stuff and she just like dumped a bunch of stuff out. Yeah, and it doesn't have
weights on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Anyways, they throw the mirror. George and Flo get it. They drive off, and then Lockwood and Lucy jump. Like, if the boat had waited 10 seconds, they could have just gotten on the boat.
I like that the guy is like, even he can't believe that they're going to jump. Like, once it becomes clear that they're going to jump off the building, he's like, oh, I'm just going to stand here and like not come after you. Because that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, TV-isms.
I like it. Like, it's I thought it was cool where he was like, oh, well, I can respect that. If you're going to jump off the building, go ahead. I'm fine with that.
It may have been more like, if they're going to jump off the building, they're probably going to die anyways.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, yeah, go for it. That's fine. They do jump off the building in the book, though.
Yes, that does happen.
Into the river.
Yeah.
This also happens there. It's funny, too, because like there's a whole thing where Lucy thinks like, got to remember to land right and all of this stuff. And my kids have taught me from playing Minecraft that if you jump, it doesn't matter how high you jump off of something. Mm-hmm. If you land in water, you get no fall damage. So it's fine.
Zelda has the same physics. Yeah.
That comes from the real world.
Yep.
And that's,
I don't know. Like, I have no idea what the threshold is. Like, once you're past here, it doesn't matter how you land. Bad things are going to happen to you.
They would happen no matter how short the fall was to me. Bad things would happen.
Do you not swim?
I can swim.
Okay.
But it would just not be good. I feel like that building's like 3-4 stories. I would die.
I don't think I would. I've made some jumps into the water, but I mean that they get to the shore so easily is I don't know about that. Big rivers that are near oceans have strong ass currents.
Yeah, I'm sure the Thames has a pretty good current. It's also very deep, like on purpose. They keep it deep.
Well, that's good for the jump.
Yeah. But I mean, that also makes a stronger current.
Yes.
If it's deep.
Anyways, we can't know. Once they have that beautiful shot of them in the water, and this is where Cruel World by Fantogram starts playing. Great song. They edit it wonderfully here.
It's very cool.
Yeah. We have a moment with Flo and George outside of Deep Rack, and Flo gives George a really good pep talk about, you can do this. You can go in there and give it to them. The mirror,
this
not
is
like
such a good, go in there and punch him. This is such a good, friend moment or connection thing. She's like, then she works up the courage to ask him out.
I do like this. She invites George to kind of run away with her, from everything. And I like it, but her plan is to or we can just drop the mirror in the river. And I'm like, that's a bad plan. Has she never seen Jumanji?
That? Right.
It will come back. Wrong? Maybe 30 years down the road, that's when like dead bodies turn up in our river here, which is about the same size as the Thames. But still.
Yeah, the ghost was like 30 feet tall. I don't know how deep the river is, but
the ghost doesn't come from the mirror. The ghost comes from his bones. The mirror is a different thing.
I get it, but like bad things, right?
Yeah,
it's a bad plan, but it's also sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet, and I like it, and I like that it does sort of feel like George chooses the team over that, not the mirror.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And then
he says, "But the plan."
Yeah. Which actually feels very autistic coded, actually.
That was how I read the whole thing, because he was like, but.
Yeah, like, that makes sense. But then he has like a change of heart for a second there and tries to change his mind. It's really cute.
To me, this is like the most romantic thing. I don't know, like where he walks in and he walks back out and he's like,
that's good.
You, me, the Hurons, let's do it. And she's just riding away and doesn't hear him.
This is why we need season 2. I need more. Yeah. I need more Flo and George and Lockwood and Lucy. And I want to meet Holly. I want to kill this fucking pretentious prick.
Get the good skull.
And we need 2 more seasons for that. Yeah, the good skull. Fuck me. Anyways, then we have Lockwood and Lucy. Oh, does he make his bad choice here? No, that's later.
Nope.
We have Lockwood and Lucy crawling out of the river, which in one of the interviews, Ruby Stokes pointed out that this was their stunt doubles, and I can't unsee it now. It's just not them crawling out of the river.
Yeah, I didn't notice. So they did fine. I guess it's pretty dark.
Yeah, when you don't know, why would you even think about it? But now, especially Lockwood, I'm like, oh, that's not him at all. It's terrible.
They're very exhausted. They're like looking up at the sky, trying to catch their breath. Traumatized on multiple levels. They almost died like 16 times in the last half hour.
Yeah. And they probably did struggle out of the river.
Oh, yeah. It had to be terrible. I'm sure it's cold. It's like, it's awful. At the end, It's the Thames. It's like gross, you know.
I wonder if it's less gross, though, because they have less.
Oh, like industrial pollution?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Although, I mean, like, if this is the equivalent of the 80s and 90s, like, there was still, like, it was still polluted then. Maybe even worse then, because we've actually made some laws since then about. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Okay, never mind. I retract what I said.
There's a really beautiful thing of like Lockwood helping to pick her up.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, like they always touch each other as much as they can every time they touch each other. And instead she like shoves him away.
Yeah. It's this really great moment where they film it like it's going to be a big moment. But then Lucy's just like, fuck you.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah. It's so good. It's
in a.
Yeah.
Earned every ounce of it.
Yes, exactly.
The heartache and the anger and
it's also just great because it's one of those things where like we've talked about how the events in this episode happen very differently than they do in the book. But that scene really just shows how they are still kind of honoring the book because I feel like the easy or the tempting thing to do would be have a resolution between these two in this season.
Right.
But that's not them. That's not them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's really good.
And it's organic. This doesn't feel like the plot is making this happen or they're like, they can't get together. This is like Lockwood has ruined this in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel like a show where obviously we want these two together, but we can't have them get together because then we wouldn't know what to write about.
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah, it's not that at all. It happens really, really good.
And it comes right on the heels of the whole missed connection with George too. So it's like it echoes that.
Yeah. And the George one makes sense absolutely too.
Yeah. For where both of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go back to George and he has his own no therapy, only bad decisions moment.
Well, he's already in a relationship. So that's why he couldn't
with the grown ass woman.
Who, I looked up here. I was like, is that really Scotland Yard? And like, but it's not. It's a totally different building. It's like the Queen Elizabeth Convention Center or something like that.
I have absolutely no idea what Scotland Yard is, other than like vaguely it has something to do with the police.
Yeah, it's the police in London. Yeah.
But why is
or
it...
like maybe it's the head of all. I've always thought of it like the head of all police in the, you know, like the most important police thing in England, but that might be totally wrong.
I guess that's how I've thought of it also through the years of having it in my media.
It would be like for Americans, like Langley is for the FBI in America. Like it's the police station of America.
That's interesting. Langley here is where all the farms are.
That's funny. I'm sure that it actually comes from England, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. Yeah. Langley is like where a bunch of sheep live in England or something like that.
I just don't like, I think my first memory of Scotland Yard in a piece of media was 101 Dalmatians, which is funny that we've come back to Drowned Dalmatians. So I've been confused about it for a long time, you know? Was it only dog related? I don't know.
That's where all the dog catchers are located there.
Right?
Yeah. That's what they do.
And I don't think it's in Scotland.
It's not in Scotland.
Because that doesn't make any sense. I really hope some English people are listening to this and just like, want to punch me the way I want to punch Golden Blade Man, you know?
Right. Listen, we're Canadian and American. We don't know anything.
We don't know anything.
We barely have a culture.
Like, especially Canadians who are like, well, maybe we'll just take some of America and a tiny bit of over here. Oh, God. Anyways, that's the end of the episode. George makes a phone call and things are bad.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he's calling Pamela, but we don't ever hear the other end of the conversation. We just cut to credits.
Yeah, it's Joplin, though.
Yeah. He's calling the drums, like, duh, 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 as they climb up into the finisher, into the credits.
I thought you were, I don't know, making some sort of, like that was some sort of metaphor.
No.
It's
literally the drums come in. Yep. And there's also like a moment before he does that to like actually be serious again, where you hear the buzzing fly sound.
Yes. Yeah. Because he's got the mirror in his arms.
He's holding it. Yeah. And it kind of like takes over and he's like, but I would use the ring for good. And, you know, why throw it into the volcano? I mean, I know I'm right here, but I could use it for good.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We make a phone call.
Next week's the last episode. Crazy. I know I already like talked about that at the beginning, but still, it's weird.
It does feel fast. And this doesn't feel like a penultimate episode to me either. It feels like there's so much ground to cover still. And I don't know. It doesn't feel like it is like, I don't know, penultimate episodes to me, it would be like, and we're almost to the fight with the final boss kind of a thing. And I feel like we haven't even gotten close.
But we have.
I don't know. I don't feel that way.
But I mean, we have in the Bickerstaff case, obviously, there's a lot of higher up stuff that we've left unexplored.
We haven't read this book, the Mary Dulac book, or anything.
Yeah, the Mary Dulac book is great because it led to like a whole episode of events and then they barely read it.
They don't even look at it.
Well, I mean, they do next episode, but it's very quick. I
just mean George. He could have been on the boat reading that thing. Instead, he's like, we got to go back.
Yeah, it must. Where is the book?
He has it. Lockwood gives it to him.
No, he doesn't.
I thought he did. He like handed it to him on the street. He was
that
like,
doesn't make any
sense.
It's got to still be in Lockwood's pocket because Lockwood and Lucy read it at the beginning of next episode.
Oh, you're right.
So it went into the Thames with them.
It's really crazy then.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's next episode. This episode, we have to talk about punk rock.
I went with Lucy hitting the Golden Blade Man with the wooden beam.
Oh, I had her doing a blind throw off the roof.
Oh, that's good too. That's good
both too. Lucy.
Yeah.
I think yours is a little better.
Yeah.
Because that is like come up behind him. That swing is so good.
It's so good. And also just because like Lockwood and Golden Blade Man, I'm really excited for them to give him a name.
No, keep it like this. He sounds like an 1800s porn star or something. Like, what kind of name is this? The Golden Blade.
Jesus. I just love that they're so locked into their very correct rapier fight, and then Lucy's just like, no.
Whack.
Yeah. I did also, my other option was the jumping off the building.
Yeah. That's good.
Because that's pretty cool. And I feel like punk rock people who are not involved in actually trying to take down the system, they would do that for shits and giggles, you know?
Right. Well, that's why he backs off. He's like, this is too punk rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let him go.
But yeah, no, Lucy hitting him with the beam. Love it.
Good.
But the good throwing is good too. I like that I feel like the books had a sort of a through storyline, especially at the beginning of book 3, of Lucy being shit at throwing things.
What? She like throws the rapier right into Bickerstaff at the beginning of this book.
Yeah, but she says afterwards that it was a mistake or that it was a coincidence.
She's like, I wasn't aiming, I just threw it.
Yeah. I don't remember who throws it, but like Lockwood gets hit in the face with a water bottle at the beginning of book 3, and I don't remember if Lucy or George threw it at him. I think it was Lucy though. So yeah, there's like that through storyline, and the show was like, actually, we're going to make her real good at it.
She's awesome at, every athletic thing that she does, she's really good at it.
All right. Well, if you want to shout at us about anything we missed or got wrong, please do it. I sound sarcastic, but genuinely, I have a piss poor memory. Please tell me what I got wrong. You can follow the show. You can reach out to us on Twitter at Lockwood Podcast, or you can follow me on Twitter at Inferior Caitlin.
It's genuinely like, for both of us, if you're like, come on Twitter and you'd be like, you guys are so great and so smart, both of us will be like, whatever. And somebody is like, you got this wrong, and we'll be like, tell me more. That's
exactly.
Yeah. That's how we are.
Yeah,
we're healthy.
Whenever somebody tweets at us like, I love the show, I just like the tweet. But if somebody says, you did this, I'll be like, okay, let's talk.
Yeah, let me bring that inside of myself.
Yeah, I don't. Compliments, please no.
No, I don't want that. If you want to reach out through email, send them to contact@hollowedgroundmedia.com or visit the contact page at hollowedgroundmedia.com/contact.
And remember, I am the iron in your blade. I am the fire in the furnace.
The terror that flaps in the night.